talking to psychics on my show in the past, if you have a very negative outlook towards everything, you're going to attract entities that are going to play on your negativeness. So it really actually ties into making things all the worse. So I gather what you're saying, if you're thinking positive, you're going to bring in the right type of entities that could maybe help you. If I think it probably could even help you in all kinds of different ways with your life, relationship-wise, job-wise, life in general, how you perceive, everyday functions.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's part of it's part of the way that we interact, right? And energy plays a role in the physical dimension as well. And then, I mean, of course, I'm giving examples on both sides, right? Or I guess on the both ends of the scale, very positive, very, very negative, right? But there's everything else in between, right? Sometimes you have more ambiguous things, but that's just like in life in general, right? I think access to these things is something that can enhance your life, right? It's not something to be afraid of, or something that should be mystified somehow, but also not something that that should be seen like in naive terms. I think people in the non-physical dimension, right, as ghosts and spirits and so on, they're people after all, right? They are in another dimension. They may be disoriented, which you will find, some of the time, or they may not be aware of where they are, or what they're doing, or why they're doing, right? But you also have these non-physical beings that are very lucid, that they understand that they are in this period between this non-physical dimension, and actually they want to help. They want to help people grow and learn in the most positive way, right? So there's the broad spectrum, the same thing that we see in physical life, right? If you think about everybody that you encounter in your life, you will find all kinds of people, right? Some people may be very altruistic. They may want to help others, right? They sacrifice themselves to help strangers, right? And on the flip side of the coin, you will find people that are more selfish, and then you find people that are selfish on Mondays and altruistic on Tuesdays, right? So,
true.
Yeah, right. And so, I guess the point is that we are consciousness. We're not the physical body. We're not the physical brain, right? The theory here is that we are, this thinking thing, this intelligent principle, right? Us here, we are consciousness, right? So the consciousness, I am a consciousness using the physical body to talk right now, and Rodrigo, right, the consciousness can also use the energies to interact with other people. And I have priorities, I have intentions, I have traits that are good, I have traits that can be improved, right? So, and the whole idea, right, is that we are consciousness in evolution. We're growing as a consciousness, right, from one life to the next. And the psychic ability can help us learn faster, especially if we pay attention to what I was describing, right? The intention, or the ethics, or the word that we use in this consciousness studies is cosmoethics, right? So ethics, but applied to the cosmos. Ethics considering the non-physical dimensions and everything that is out there. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Now, also, you've done, teaching on this, too, for around 10 years?
Yes. I've done a lot of teaching, both in clairvoyance, psychic ability, and consciousness development. I taught in many places here in the U.S. Of course, I did teach classes in many places in Brazil. Also, Mexico, a few places many places in Europe, actually. I lived in Europe for a while. I think the farthest was Hong Kong. Yeah, that was as far as I went with the classes.
How did the people take what you were teaching? I mean, did you have any people that kind of like, this is really far out there, or did you have, after, they were in your class for a while, did they realize they had the ability and, embraced it?
I think in the classes, people embrace it and they like it, right? Especially because we focus a lot on personal experience, right? So if you do a clairvoyance exercise, right, in a clairvoyance workshop, and then people start to see the energy, this bright contour that I'm describing, a bit of the aura, and like these little things, but it's a very concrete experience, right? I don't like to use the word real, because then we could debate about that. But if you have your eyes open, you just relax a little bit, and you have one of these experiences, right? Then this is something exciting, right? And from time to time, people would have an extraordinary clairvoyance experience that they were not waiting. I mean, for me, this is the most gratifying thing, is when people would say, "Hey, man, I just saw this thing and it was amazing. I've never seen it before," right? Even people that had clairvoyance experiences before, but because they applied a different technique, right? I mean, experienced people, they applied a different technique, or the context was a bit different, right? Then they see something that it was extraordinary for them, right? So I think this is very gratifying, and that's why, I mean, in the book there, I put several different techniques and several optimizations that you can do, because it depends, right? It varies from person to person. But I think if we talk about the classes, yes, then people would take it in. Now, if we talk about public lectures, then or debates, right? I participated in a couple of debates in universities. Then the environment can be very different. People, they ask a lot of questions, right? Of course, because a lot of times, I want the proof, show me the proof. And then I say, look, let's flip this around. How about you apply a technique and then you see if this exists or not, right? But yeah, you find all kinds of people, really. I think the ones that come to the class, they're usually more, yes, they're curious, or sometimes they already have experiences and they want to explore it a bit further, right? But overall, it has been a very, very interesting experience.
Now, I got a listener just sent me a message. Now, she says that she has had experiences where she goes to bed and then something, she sees something that it plays out at work or in a relationship from the beginning to the end, and then a week or so later, the same thing that she had, that dream or whatever out-of-body experience or whatever she's trying to say, is it happens right exactly what she saw. Now, is that tied into it, or is that something else?
It does. No, it ties in the psychic ability theme, right? So this is a precognition. It's a very interesting kind of psychic ability. So you are seeing into the future, right? So sometimes it comes in the form of a dream. It could be a vision. A lot of people, they have precognitions in the hypnagogic state. So that state between being awake and being asleep, right? So it's right when you are not switching off, but you're letting go of the reins of your physical brain, right? And then you're switching to a different state, right? You're going into your body is going into the sleep state, and then you could have a precognition, right? But a lot of times they come in the forms of a dream, and a precognition is like tapping. The explanation here is that it's like you are tapping into like a wider source of information, right? You're getting more data, and then you extrapolate that data, and then you can see what is more likely to happen in the future, right? The analogy here is with weather forecasts, right? The more, if you know the temperature and the pressure, okay, you have an idea, but if you have thousands of data points, and you have the history of weather in that place, and ocean currents, and so on, and satellite images, then you can make a better prediction, right? So this would be like you're tapping into these non-physical sources, and then you're seeing into the future, right?
I think we've all had something like that. I know myself, I've been in situations where I've been, in a group meeting or something, and the guy got up there and started saying everything, and I'm going, wow, I knew exactly what the guy was going to say. And I not just because it just hit me right at that moment. It's like I heard this whole thing and saw this guy in a dream, and it about a week or two later, there it was playing out. And almost for word to word, like what the girl was saying here on the chat. I mean, I think a lot of people, they have those and they just pass it off as, a dream. Oh, yeah. A lot of things are labeled as dreams, right? Another example, it's similar to what you were saying, but as you were describing, I remember the other phenomenon, the déjà vu, right? So that's when you see a place where you get into a place for the first time in your life, but you know that you have been there, right? It feels like you have been there, and some people, they can describe the place even before they see it, right? So imagine you walk into the door of that person's house, and then you can describe the backyard, everything that is in the backyard before you have seen it. So a déjà vu could be the result of an out-of-body experience. Maybe you went there to visit that place outside of the body, or perhaps on a different life, right? So those are very, very interesting experiences, right? And and then sometimes it's hard to convey how real or how impactful they are, right? Because they are subjective experiences. They are very personal. Oh, yeah. So anyway, our time is wrapping up. Where can they find your book? You wrote about this, and give them the information on your website, Facebook, where they can find you, and if you have anything on YouTube, where they can find you.
Okay, I think the best way is if you go to my website, it's clairvoyancebook.com. So clairvoyancebook.com, and if you search on Facebook for visual clairvoyance, so it's facebook.com/visual clairvoyance. I also have a page for the book there, and send me a message if you have questions or anything that I can help with. I'll be happy to help. And also, of course, on the show's webpage, right? Oh, yeah.
Now, can they find your book on Amazon? In the Amazon, or?
Yes, if you search for visual clairvoyance on Amazon, you will find it. The title of the book is Paravision, because it's like the vision beyond the vision, right? So Paravision, Theory and Practice of Visual Clairvoyance.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, I want to thank you for coming on the show, and I want to apologize for what happened, having to reschedule you. But I'll tell you one thing, I kind of learned some stuff tonight that I didn't even know, and now I'm going to have to go to bed tonight. And you know what's going to happen? It's going to rattle in my brain all night from some of the things you said.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that, Gary. It has been a pleasure.
Okay, well, you have a great evening, and, I want to thank you for coming on Night Dreams Talk Radio.
All right. Thank you, too.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, boy, this psychic ability, at the start of going back about a year ago, I was kind of skeptical, but it's been so many different things that has happened in my life, my family's life. Family members had, kind of like, I've had a family member that had a out-of-body experience. My father, when the day he died, he was in the year before he died, he was in a nursing home on life support the last couple months, basically. He was nothing more than a vegetable. The doctors told me that, the dementia and the Alzheimer's, that his brain was totally nothing there left. Then I get a phone call out of the blue that my father was up